going to share my screen here. Hello, everyone. Good evening. For those who are joining, my name is Summer Rivera. I am tonight's facilitator and also PACAC member. I'm just sharing my screen here and just want to welcome everyone to our session with Hiram College. Tonight we are hearing from Sherman Dean, which is awesome. Just a few reminders so you know, you will be muted and your video will be off. If you do have any questions, please use the Q&A button at the top. And if you would like to sign up for any more sessions, you can go to pacac.org/virtual. All sessions and this session will be recorded and will be available to you on the same webpage. So as you're coming in, please know that we cannot see or hear you. And again, if you have any questions, please type them in the Q&A and Sherman will get back to you when he can. So Sherman, when it's...
All righty. Well, once again, welcome. Thank you for anyone who has had the taking the time to join us this evening. Um, Appreciate you coming to hear a little bit more about Hiram. And as was just mentioned, any questions that you have, please feel free to put those into the question or the chat function so that I will get to them at the end of my session here. I'm by myself here, so I'm going to give you some presentation and have you learn a little bit more about Hiram. But at the end of that, if there are any questions I can get to, I will get to them as quickly and as completely as I can. If I cannot get to them this evening, I will definitely follow up with you. Let's get started. So first, I am going to share my screen, and then we will get going. Okay. Welcome to the Hiram College experience. A little bit about myself, and we'll get going. First of all, who am I? My name is Sherman Dean. I am the director of admission. Been at Hiram for a little over 17 years, but it is my 25th or going into my 26th year in admission. I started at Ohio Northern University on the other side of the state. Also worked at the Kent State, the main campus, one of our state institutions in Ohio. So I've seen a large, medium, and a small institution like Hiram. And over these many years, what I've learned is that my main goal should be and is to find or help a student find the best fit. And what I put here about recruiting alumni, I'm not in the habit of attempting to recruit freshmen or first year students. I want to recruit alumni, meaning I want to make sure you folks have all of the questions answered, everything you need to make the best possible decision for you. I don't want you to come to Hiram for a year and then realize it's not where you want to be. So let's work together to get all of your questions answered. Some quick facts about Hiram. We were founded in 1850 and along with some of the other schools in Ohio, some of the other private schools like your Oberlins and things like that, one of the first to allow women and underrepresented students to get degrees in early 1800s. So very proud about that, and the diversity is kind of a part of who we are. Approximately 1,000 students undergraduate. Okay, so very hands-on. I like to tell students, if you're the type of person that likes to hang in the back of the class and not be called upon and just kind of breeze through, Hiram is not the right place for you. Okay. But if you're open to having a great education, a great relationship with your faculty, having them know who you are and support you in things other than just the class, it's a great place to be. Um, I mentioned myself personally being there 17 years, but my oldest son is a recent graduate, and he was a student athlete. And one of the things he would always speak to was how it was great to look up in the stands and see his marketing professor or biology professor there cheering him on as part of the campus community. So we're located about 45 minutes southeast of Cleveland, about 40 minutes north of Akron, and about an hour and a half or so from Pittsburgh. So while you can see the photo in the background there, we have a lot of space. It may look like we're in the middle of nowhere, but I like to say we're in the middle of everywhere. and we use those areas quite a bit for internships and shadowing and even entertainment and things like that. So we're sitting on about 110 acres on the main campus, but we also have a 550-acre biological field station 3 miles away that we use for research. There's hiking, biking, those types of things. We also have another field station up in Northwoods, which is up in the Upper Peninsula of Michigan, that we utilize for some coursework during some of our sessions, which I'll talk a little bit about as we move forward. The degrees that we offer a Bachelor of Arts degree, and we also offer a Bachelor of Science in Nursing. We have a direct entry nursing program. Students actually will start their clinicals as early as sophomore year, and we do utilize the Cleveland Clinic, university hospitals, nursing homes, and things like that. Once you are able to join us on campus, and we are having on-campus visits as well as virtual visits, individual visits. So feel free, if after the day you want to learn more, to jump on our website and set one of those up for yourself. But when you come to campus, you'll notice that campus is made up of not only the traditional classroom settings, but also some classic century homes and buildings. And here you see three of them. Here you see Bonnie Castle, which is the home of our English and creative writing. The writing house in the middle is where you can go get your papers reviewed, your first draft. You'll work with not only faculty, but also upper class students who are strong writers, as well as Pendleton House, which is the home of our history department. You may be sitting around a fireplace drinking hot chocolate and discussing the subject matter. Which only works if both faculty and students are engaged. So once again, our size really allows that to kind of work organically. One of the more interesting buildings that we have on campus is Kortansky Hall that you can see here. And yes, it was formerly a church, and it was a church in Mecca, Ohio, which is about 45 minutes from where Hiram is. But what we did was we took this church, when we had the opportunity to purchase it, we took it apart and moved it piece by piece from Mecca to Hiram. Okay, now why is this place special to us? For those of you who may not know, James A. Garfield, who was a U.S. president, but he was also a student, faculty member, and president of Hiram College, actually preached at this church. So when we were able to purchase it, that's a part of our history. We've done that. So we utilize the main area for classrooms, for events and things like that. It is also the home for our political science department on campus. So very strong political science as well. So, and along with those classic houses and those century homes, we also have your traditional classrooms and traditional buildings here. You can see a few of them. On the top left is Gerstacker, one of our science buildings. And then the bottom is Hinsdale, which is probably our main academic building when you talk about traditional classrooms. And then on the right, you have East Hall, where we have probably one of our largest classrooms there. So we do have the traditional and the technology there. So a couple things set Hiram apart from other schools, okay, other than our size, okay. The first thing we'll talk about this evening is the Hiram Plan, okay. So the Hiram Plan is our academic calendar, and it is a little different than most. What we do is we break it up into 12 weeks and 3 weeks. So basically two 15-week semesters, which is pretty typical, but we break that up into 12 weeks and 3 weeks. So your first 12 weeks are your traditional 3 to 4 classes that you take, and then finals, okay. There's a week break, and then you come back for 3 weeks. Now, these 3 week sessions offer a lot of flexibility. Okay, so what can you do during a 3 week session? Well, you can take one intensive class. Okay, so you see just some examples here. Students are taking an art class or a communication class, a writing course, whatever. If you're anything like me, I wasn't very strong in math, so you can take one course, and it could be a math course, and you could just focus specifically on that course during that 3 week session, so you don't have to worry about anything else. That can be your focus during that time. There could be guided research. Okay, so while most folks know Hiram for our sciences, strong pre-professional programs like your pre-meds, pre-vets, pre-dentistry, we do a lot of research opportunities. As you can see, students here, we're doing genomics research on the top, but also we have students that do research that is not all science-based. A young man at the bottom corner has done some research that dealt with his interest in baseball and how the baseball itself has really evolved over many years. Okay, so guided research with a faculty member. Study away or study abroad. Now, obviously, with COVID, things have changed a little bit at this point, so we're not doing as much as far as studying away or studying abroad. But historically, we have been all over the world, all over Asia, all over Europe, Trinidad and Tobago, one of the few schools to be allowed into Bhutan, Galapagos Islands. So a lot of opportunities for studying abroad. Great thing about it, and the different thing about it too, is we're not just going to send you by yourself to say, you go to this locale and you sink or swim. No, what we do is we take a group of students, usually about 10 to 12 students, along with two or three of our faculty members who would take the group, teach our own courses in those areas, but tie in the culture and the community of the area that we're visiting. Okay, and once again, we've been all over the world. Here you can see a few from photos from Japan. I think one is from Rome and things like that. One of the most interesting trips I heard took place a couple years before I got there. One of our faculty members had come across the Diary of a Pirate. Okay, now I don't know where you find the Diary of a Pirate, but they came across the Diary of a Pirate. So for 3 weeks, students and the faculty member were on a schooner through the Caribbean. And what they attempted to do is mimic the movements of this pirate ship through the Caribbean. Okay, so they would stop at different ports and look at the history, biology, and the writings of those specific areas. So those are the types of trips that are available. Now, if you're anything like me and you're not a big fan of flying or leaving the US, we also have study away opportunities. A great example of this is we have students that are studying biology, okay, but they may have an interest in marine biology. Now, we're in Ohio, in the Midwest, okay, so we don't have an ocean next to us. So we've sent students down to the coast, California, Florida, Texas, to actually have an opportunity to do research during those 3 week sessions, okay? So studying abroad and studying away are great opportunities for students. And also internships and shadowing opportunities. We want you to know exactly if what you're interested in is what you really want to do for the rest of your life. I hear the questions all the time about when I lost my lights here. We're having a storm here, so hopefully I don't lose my internet. Hear it all the time about students that are interested in education. Okay, until they sit in on a class of 8, 9 year olds, especially. So kind of opens up their eyes to some things. So 3 weeks are a great opportunity early in the process to find out if it's something you really want to do for the rest of your life. So here you can see education on your left. You can see some of the science-based, the medical on the right, and then we have a podcast studio. There are some students that are interested in doing podcasting and things like that. So it's definitely a part of our 3 week session. So once again, it's the hiring plan. It's the 12-week and 3 week session. We've been doing it over 20 years, and it started with a couple of our faculty members that went out to the community, went to some graduate schools and asked them what they were looking for in new students, went to some prospective employers and asked them what they were looking for in new graduates. And they all pretty much said the same thing, that they were looking for students who had completed a strong educational experience inside the classroom, but who also has some pretty significant experiences outside the classroom. So instead of waiting until your junior and senior year to jam all those experiences in, we've built it into our curriculum. So twice a year during the 4 years you're at Hiram, you have an opportunity to do something totally different. Okay, so that's the hiring plan. The next thing that kind of separates us or differentiates us from other schools is our Tech and Trek program. Okay, so basically what this is, every student that joins us at Hiram is given an Apple iPad Pro, keyboard, and an Apple Pencil, as well as a pair of high quality hiking boots. Okay, we'll talk about the hiking boots in just a minute. So let's focus on the technology. So one of our alumni who was a Fortune 5 CEO of a Fortune 500 company, he retired, came back to Hiram. It was really complimentary about the education that he was providing and how he spoke to how well it helped him to lead that company. But what he also noticed was that technology is such a huge, huge part of any specific career that students will go into. Okay, so he wanted to make sure that none of our students were ever at a disadvantage. Now we've got students from all over. Yes, so about 60% of our students are from Northeast Ohio, Western Pennsylvania, but we also have a great number of students from Florida, California, and Texas as well. So students coming from all different locales, all different levels of support and levels of means. So every student is on the same platform. Every student is using the same technology. Faculty and staff are also using the same technology. So they're using it inside and outside the classrooms. Faculty are doing things like giving instant quizzes in campus. So, let's say you were supposed to do some reading the night before. They may shoot you a quick 5, 10 question quiz when you come to class and say, hey, listen, complete this quiz, and then while you're doing it, up on the Apple TV in the front of class could be percentages of the classroom. So it's telling us, hey, if a large percentage of the class got everything right, then I think we did okay. We can move forward. But if we need to stop, this is a great opportunity to see that. Okay, students are also using it pretty well, using their creativity. So we know you guys know how to use the technology for entertainment and social media and TikToks and those types of things. But students are also using their creativity, creating presentations using iMovie and GarageBand and things like that. So you really get a chance to put your creativity onto what you're learning. Okay, we have a dedicated office for this Tech and Track. So any problems that any of the students have with the technology, all of the updates are provided by the college. So everything is updated for you automatically. Faculty are using things like EPUBs and PDFs to kind of offset cost of textbooks and things like that to make it a little easier for your students. So that's the tech aspect. Now, the trek aspect. Every student is given a pair of vast hiking boots. Now, there's a couple reasons for that. One is, we had a connection with a CEO of Red Wing Boots, and that really helped. But the main thing is that we want to make sure that students don't lose themselves in the technology. Okay, and that's why we call it mindful technology. It's really easy at this point to get yourself lost in the technology, especially where we are now with so many things going remote with COVID. So we call it mindful technology. Is we want you to know when to put it down. Okay, so during your classes, from time to time, a faculty member may say, you know what, when we meet again on Thursday, leave your technology in the room, but bring your throw in your hiking boots. We're going to go out to the middle of campus and have our discussion, or we're going to catch a quick a shuttle van out to the field station, and we're going to have a short discussion while we have a short trail walk or in a classroom or something there. So once again, it's more than anything to make sure that you don't lose an appreciation for yourselves, appreciation for nature, and your interpersonal communication skills. Okay, so that's Tech and Track, mindful technology. Okay, last thing that I'll mention as a differentiator for Hiram, we took a look at costs, which I think is a touchy subject and an important subject for everyone. And what we found was that, we know there are a lot of students that, do research on their own and look at websites and look at college websites. And if they do a search just for, what's the cost of attendance, some of those tuitions can be very scary when you look at them. But what we think is that a lot of folks don't realize that very few students ever pay close to what some of those initial sticker prices are. So if you folks don't remember anything I say today, please remember, do not make a decision on a school based strictly on the initial sticker price. Okay, go through the process. All right, it doesn't cost anything to go through the process and get a good view of what it's going to cost you. So what we did was, starting last year, we rolled back our tuition and fees by about 35%. We pretty much looked at, what made sense, what does this cost for, and things like that, and we cut the fat. Okay, so what we did is, so students coming in last year, we're looking at just about 36,000 total cost of attendance last year. Okay, so that included room and board, tuition, lab fees, that's everything. Okay, now keep in mind that is also and was also an initial sticker price. So that's before any scholarship or anything like that is done, any financial aid. Go through the process. Okay, so there's the rollback. Okay, but the real value add, in my opinion, is that students also get an opportunity to take up to 2 free summer courses every year. Okay, so what that means to you is, as a student, you can double major, major, minor, add additional coursework with no additional time spent and no additional cost. Okay, historically, taking 2 free summer courses could be anywhere between $3,000 to $4,000 in cost. Okay, for you, there's no cost for that. Okay, let's say you were a student athlete. You could roll back your costs or roll back your classes during your season and then pick back up and not lose any time during your summers. Okay, so there's the 2 free summer courses. The second part of that also is direct referrals to paid summer internships. Okay, so yes, we want you to get the experience. So learn the theory during the 12-week, put the theory to work during that 3-week session. But then during the summers, we also want you to continue to get that experience, okay? And not only get the experience, but also be able to get paid for it. A lot of students use the summers to work. So if you can double dip and not only get the experience and credit, but also get paid, we thought that would be a great addition. So that's part of the learn more, earn more, spend less. So if you jump on our website, you can learn a little bit more about that. But we're very excited about that process. Okay. All right, so let's talk about living on campus. We are definitely a residential campus, 8 residential living options, with one of them actually is broken down into 4 different residence halls. We do not force all first year students to stay in first year residence halls. Students have pretty much their option. What you'll do is once you've been admitted and you decide to join us, you'll be able to choose your top 3. Now, obviously, some of these areas are for upper class students. They get first choice. So, like East Hall here, which is a suite style living. That's the third picture at the top there. Suite style living, and basically what that is one main living area with a kitchen with several different individual bedrooms off of that. And then you've got the townhouses, the bottom left, which is basically living off campus, on campus. Their apartments and students, cook and clean and everything for themselves. You've got the other residence halls like Booth Centennial, Whitcomb, Henry, Quad, all are double occupancy historically, but due to COVID, what we've done this year is every student that's on campus has their own single room. So we can make sure that social distancing is happening, and that students are as safe as possible. Residential campus students are required to live on campus at least up to their sophomore year, or the end of their sophomore year, unless they live within a 30-mile radius of campus. But each situation is kind of looked at individually. So those are your options there. All right, let's talk about the application process. Okay, Hiram is on a rolling admission scale. So what that means to you is, as soon as we receive everything that we need for your application and your application is complete, we will process it right away. Okay, you're looking at about a 2.5 week turnaround to find out whether or not you've been admitted for next stops. Okay, we do accept the Common App, or we have our own Hiram online application that you can find on our website. And we do not have a preference. Whichever one you decide you want to use, whichever one works better for you is the one with accept. We don't read either of them with any different any additional weight or anything like that. So it's totally up to the student. There is no application fee. Okay, and we are test optional. Okay, so if you have not had the opportunity to take an ACT or SAT, that's fine. You can still apply, and we'll work off of your official transcripts. Okay. If you have taken an ACT or SAT and you want to submit it, feel free to. Okay. But let's say you have taken it, but you don't believe it's a great reflection of who you are academically. Totally up to you whether or not you want to submit it. Okay. The application itself, what we need to be complete is the application, official transcripts from your high school. So they need to be sent directly from your high school to Hiram. Okay. And then we also recommend recommendations, a writing sample, and those types of things. Because when we read your application, we like to read it on a holistic view. We want to look at everything you bring to the table. So yes, we're going to look at your GPA. We're going to look at the types of classes you've taken, the strength of your high school, any leadership, any community service, anything like that. Anything we can use to make a decision to find out, get to know as much about you as we possibly can is what we'll use in that process. Okay. And then lastly, I kind of want to highlight, talk a little bit about athletics on campus. Now, I mentioned earlier, Hiram is about 1,000 students undergraduate. About half of our student body plays an intercollegiate sport. Okay. And we are Division III. Okay. So we're not allowed to give out any athletic scholarships. So all of our scholarships are academic or merit based. Okay. But as you can see, we have pretty much all of your major sports. We've got the soccer, both men and women's, cheer and stunt, men and women's volleyball. Um, Not pictured here is men and women's wrestling, which will start this year, football, lacrosse, both men and women's, swimming and diving. So you can see we have quite a few options for students. We do recruit. Okay, but we also have, interest. So if you have an interest in one of these sports, there is a questionnaire on our website that you can fill out to get in front of our coaches. so that they can get a little bit more information about you if you're interested in playing one of those sports. Okay. Along with the sports, we also have all different types of experiences on campus. We've got things like theater and music and things like that. And great thing about those is you do not have to be a music major or a theater major in order to take advantage of any of those extracurricular activities. So, okay, it looks like my lights came back on, so that's a good thing. All right. So that's the Hiram experience. So I am going to stop sharing my screen right now. I did want to mention a few things specifically about the financial aid and scholarship process. So obviously today is October 1st. So you can now complete and submit your FAFSA form. So please do that. And if you're filling it out, please make sure you have any schools that you're seriously considering, make sure you have them added to your FAFSA. Okay. For Hiram, we also can and will accept any additional scholarship or grant that you bring to the table. So I always tell students, hey, apply for everything, work with your school counselors. They'll have a good idea about any opportunities that are available in your area that you can take with you anywhere. But I'd also urge you to do some homework on your own. If you've heard of fastweb.com is a great start for free scholarship searches. College Board is another. I use those two because I know for sure of some students that have actually received some scholarships from there. I'm going to urge you to create your own generic scholarship search email. So for my scholarship search at Gmail or Yahoo or whatever that may be, and use that to sign up for these services because you don't want to use your personal email. It will gum up your email. It's going to send a lot of things to you. And what they'll ask you some questions like, what do you want to major in, some of your activities, leadership, that type of thing. And it'll try to match you up with any scholarships that are kind of floating around in cyberspace. Okay. The majority of them you find you can apply right online. Okay. One or two of them you might have to fill out an application or you might have to write an essay. But you can write one essay, change a word here and there, and send that to all of those who require it. The main thing is you don't want to sell yourself short. Okay. There's millions of dollars that goes unused every year because students don't know about it. Okay, no reason you shouldn't benefit from that. I've seen scholarships for being left-handed, being over or under a specific height, having a specific color hair or eyes. There's one for wearing duct tape to prom. I mean, so there are a lot of options specifically for you to look at for scholarships to add to it. Okay. Great thing about Hiram, anything you bring to the table, we'll simply add it on. Okay. Let me give you an example. Let's say you were awarded a $10,000 scholarship from Hiram based on your academics, but you found a $2,000 scholarship from an outside source. There are some schools that'll take away $2,000 of their money to make sure you still only got 10. Okay. For us, that'll be 12. And we'll keep adding on. Okay. Adding on. The only time we would ever adjust any of our costs or any of our money is if you go over our total cost of attendance. So, as nice as it would be to pick up a check every month to say you're going to school, that's not going to happen. But we'd only adjust it for however many years you went over our total cost. Okay. So, it is not going to hurt you. It can only be of benefit to you. Okay. All of the scholarships that we offer, specifically from Hiram, are renewable every year, which means once you get them, you keep them as long as you keep your grades up. And for us, keeping your grades up is just staying off of academic probation, positive movement towards graduation. Okay. We don't expect you, even though you probably could, to keep a 4.0 GPA all through college. Okay. That's an added pressure that you don't need. Okay. So our whole process is to make sure that students are taken care of. So that is my spiel about Hiram, and I'm once again glad that you folks took the time to join us. So now I'm going to see if I see any questions here. So I got a question, and I'll just speak to this so I don't have to type it about the acceptance rate of freshmen. That is a great question, and the way I'll answer that is we are always in search of reasons to admit, never reasons to deny. So we're not one of those colleges that hang our hats on, admitting a small number. So any students that fit the criteria are who we admit. So we've been anywhere between 60 to 70 percent of our applicant pool being admitted from time to time, depending on the specific year. But yeah, we're always in search of reasons to admit and never reasons to deny. I've been given a lot of leeway with my team to make best decisions for students. Okay, so what we do promise is that we will never set a student up to fail. And if we need additional information to make the right decision, we will ask for it. If we need an additional essay, or we need an interview or something like that, we will ask for those things. So another question that popped up is, do you have partnerships with other universities? Um, we have several different partnerships with some of the community colleges in our area, in the Cleveland area, and in both east side and west side of Cleveland, as well as some of the suburban areas where we teach some of our courses at those areas. Hiram courses on those campuses, Tri-C, Lakeland in Ohio, and then Lorraine Community College. So we have some partnerships there. We also have some partnerships with Case Western Reserve in downtown Cleveland for, um, first of all, in engineering. We have a 3+2 engineering program with them, as well as an agreement with their um, dentistry program. So they have an incredible dentistry program. So what we do is we have some dual degree opportunities with them. We also have a partnership with NeoMed, which is Northeast Ohio School of Medicine, where we have 5 guaranteed seats every year for our students to get into their medical school. So those are some of the partnerships that we have. Great question. All right. So, um, anyone else? Anyone else have any questions for me? If not, I definitely would urge you all, if you get the opportunity to, if you hear something that you like today, to try to get to campus, or we'll be doing some small open houses coming up here in the next couple weeks. More information will be shared on our website. We're still in the planning stages of those, just making sure that we do those types of things very, very safely. Um, but would love to have you come, learn more about us, learn more about your specific program. We can always set up a time when you talk with a faculty member, coach, or whatever that may be, as well as students. And I'm going to urge you, as you are researching schools and talking with schools, is that you do get an opportunity to talk with some students, because students will tell you good, bad, and ugly about a school, and you need to hear it all. I will warn you, everyone in my position is paid to tell you it's perfect, it's great. Okay, that's our job. All right. Coaches, if you play a sport, they're going to accentuate all the positives because they want you to come play for them. A student doesn't care if you come or not. They will tell you good, bad, and ugly. So love to have you on campus. I just got another question here. Do you have any graduate studies on campus or just undergraduate? We are basically an undergraduate institution. We do have a small Master of Interdisciplinary Studies program, which is basically a liberal arts master's degree. But most of our focus is on our undergraduate students. So all of our classes are taught by full professors. So we don't have graduate students that are teaching. We do have teachers assistants, but once again, all classes are taught by full professors on campus, and our focus is basically on undergraduate. Great question. Anyone else? I'm hoping my lights stay on. Yeah, I don't know if you where you folks are in Pennsylvania, but if you're having anything like the storm we're having, I'm right outside of Cleveland right now, and coming down pretty good. But so thank you for bearing with me when my lights went out. So anyone else, anything I can answer for you folks this afternoon or this evening? Well, I will hang around in case any questions do pop up. Once again, I wanted to say thank you for um, spending your some time with me this evening. Um, it makes me feel good that there are actually a few people that stop by, so I appreciate it. Excuse me.
Okay, everyone. Thank you so much, Sherman, for your informative session. I really appreciate it. We're going to end the session here if we don't have any questions. So, for our students that are still on, thank you so much for joining tonight. Again, we really appreciate it. Once you close this window, you will receive a 4-question survey. If you would like to join any other sessions, please check out our webpage here so you can sign up for any more. Know that this session and any other sessions are recorded, so you will be able to revisit this session or see any other sessions again available on our website. Okay? Thank you so much, Sherman. We really appreciate it.
My pleasure. Thank you. Thanks for everybody. Thank you, Joseph. Appreciate it. Folks, have a great one.
Have a good night.